Hello, welcome to Pike Creek Farm. My name is Renee and thank you for stopping by. Today is an exciting day for me. This is my favorite month of the whole year, my favorite collab of the whole year. I've watched it for several years now. It is Canuary. Yes, Canuary. Every day this month there are wonderful canning recipes, and this whole collaboration is sponsored by Lisa at Sutton's Days. She puts this on and it is amazing, the channels that she has organized. Some of my favorite channels, so make sure you watch them all. I'll have the playlist down below and all the channels with their links. If you enjoy canning, if you want to learn about canning, this is the collab for you, because there are going to be so many different recipes on pressure canning, on water bath canning, on steam canning, any kind of canning. On fruits, on jams, on meat, on soup. That's what I'm doing today, is a soup. And the exciting thing is you're going to want to watch every single one of these videos and put a comment down below, because Lisa at the end of the month is giving away a Presto 23-quart canner, pressure canner, which is what I use and I love. And then we have a new sponsor this year too. 4-jar lids. These are the best lids ever. I have been using them pretty much exclusively the past year, and I've had less than 5 failures all year, and they're probably my fault. These lids are amazing. This company, the service is wonderful. But what 4 jars is going to do is they're going to give away 3 amazing prizes. The first is a 21-quart All-American pressure canner. That's like a huge, amazing prize. They're giving away 2 different gift baskets in addition to the pressure canner. And one's gonna have a $50 gift card and the other is gonna have a $100 gift card. So there's gonna be amazing prizes, amazing videos, and lots of ideas on how to stock your pantry with shelf-stable additions, but I call my canned goods my fast food. I can come home from work, I can grab a can of potatoes, I can grab a can of Mississippi pork, and I can grab a can of beets or green beans, and I can put together a dinner very quicker than I can call and have pizza delivered, and for a lot less money. So today what I'm going to do is I'm going to can black bean soup, and I'm going to do it in pints. And what I am excited about this is that I can take a pint of soup to work. I'm not going to put meat in this soup, but let's say I come home and I want to have one of my fast food dinners. I can go grab a can of the black bean soup. I can grab a can of my ugly chicken or my ugly pork, and I can make some rice, and I can put the rice, I can put the black beans, and I can put the meat and add some little bit of like chopped onion on top, maybe some cowboy candy that I've canned, a little bit of sour cream, maybe some avocado, and what a great dinner. I can use this as the base for enchiladas. I can just add meat and have soup, have some cornbread on the side. Let's get started making black bean soup. I'm going to follow the quick soak method to rehydrate these beans, to start the rehydration process according to the USDA. And as I'm rinsing, I am going to make sure there's no stones or other pieces of stuff that shouldn't be in with the beans, or any beans that don't look good. Like, here's one that is broken and discolored on the end, so I'm not going to can that. Now, I can year-round. I love canning, and there's things that I do in the winter that I don't do in the summer. The timer went off for 2 minutes, so I removed it from the heat, put the lid on, and I set my timer for 1 hour. The recipe calls for 2 cups of carrots chopped. So I'm going to peel my carrots and chop them in my chopper. carrots need to be peeled before they're canned. I need 2 cups of chopped carrots, and there is measuring lines on the side of this, so it makes it really easy. You just get them so they fit on here, and it takes some power. I switched out for the smaller cutter for the onions, and there's the onions all chopped. The last thing to chop actually is garlic, and I'm just gonna do a rough chop. This will be processed in the pressure canner. Now I'm going to do my safety check on it. First, I have to put a base in the bottom. You never want to have your jars directly on the bottom of the canner. Then next is, there is a vent pipe here, and you want to be able to see through it. I usually blow through it even. This is the lock. You want to make sure that this is loose. This is the safety plug, and you want to make sure that's there and that it looks good. This is the gauge. I don't use the gauge, I use the jiggler, which I will show you. And then you want to make sure that your seal, your gasket looks good. And every few times I put a little bit of vegetable oil on this, but you want to make sure there's no cracks, that it doesn't look dry or anything, so that it can get a good seal. The next thing is I need to put, for my canner, 3 quarts of water in here, and I want it to start heating up a little, not come to a boil, just be warm, because I'm going to put warm soup into warm jars, which I have in my dishwasher right now on the sterilize and heat cycle. And then you want this water to be hot too. You don't want to have a variance in temperature, have ice cold water in hot jars, because you'll have breakage. The bottoms will fall out from thermal shock, and we don't want that. So I'm going to get out my measuring cup to put in 3 quarts of water. The timer just went off, and if you look at these beans, they absorbed a lot of the water. So what we do now is drain them. Put them back in the pot. And now we need to cover them by at least 1 inch of water. I'm going to put these on the stove, and when they come to a boil, set the timer for 30 minutes. And when that's done, it'll be time to make the soup. The timer went off on the beans, so I am going to drain them. But I'm going to put the beans back in here. The difference in size with just this process. Here's a hard one, and there's a partially rehydrated bean. We need to add 4 cups of broth, and I am using vegetable broth. To add 5 cups of tomato puree. I need to add 1 more cup. 2 cups of carrots, cup and a half of onion, 5 cloves of garlic chopped up. You could mince them if you want. 1/4 cup of vinegar. They suggest red wine or apple cider. 4 teaspoons of cumin. I love the smell of cumin. 2 teaspoons of Mexican oregano. And try to get Mexican oregano. I've had to order it off of Amazon because it isn't sold here locally that I've been able to find. 1 teaspoon of black powder. And 5 bay leaves. I'm not going to add any salt at this point because the broth that I use does have some salt in it. Not as high as some, but enough. And I'd rather salt it when I go to eat it. So now we put this back on the stove and bring it up to a boil and let it simmer just for a few minutes. We're not cooking it all the way. I let this boil for 5 minutes. I'll be taking the bay leaves out. I don't want to can the bay leaves. So we're going to start filling the jars now. When making soup, you want to fill the jars halfway with solids and then the rest with the broth up to the 1-inch headspace. So I have a slotted spoon. And I'm going to try and get a mixture of everything. Here's another bay leaf. So don't forget, the beans will still expand more. And now I'm going to use my ladle and try and get out just the broth. There'll be some onions in. And I do have a kettle on with water, just in case I don't have enough broth. So with your debubbler, it has all the different markings from 1/4 inch up to 1 inch. So this is just above the 1 inch, so I'll have to add a little bit more. But first I'm going to debubble because that could take it down some more. Then add a little bit. Measure, it touches the top there. I have a little bowl with vinegar and paper towel. Wipe this rim. And then put my 4-jar lid on, and I put it on till it didn't stop, just finger tight. You don't want to crank it tight because air has to evacuate out of this when it goes under pressure. So 1 ready to go in, and this water in my canner is warm, so no thermal shock. So I'm going to empty another jar and we'll do the process again. So first get some of the solids, the beans, the carrots. until it's at the halfway point. That looks good. Now we'll use the ladle. So I'm excited to have this to take to work for my lunches. You can serve it with tortillas, cornbread, tortilla chips, debubble, 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 and a little bit more. Wipe the rim. Any little piece of vegetable or broth that is there can prevent a good seal. Finger tight. Another bay leaf. That's 5, so they're all out. I'm going to fill these last couple jars, and I'll bring you back for when I'm done. I'm ready to put the lid on. This is all I have left after filling the jars, not even enough for a half pint. And my jars are all in the pressure canner, so now I will put the lid on. On mine, you line up those arrows, and then the handle over here. And I gotta use 2 hands. I'll put you down. It is steaming like a freight train right now. And I know it's really hard to see. I'm gonna set the timer for 10 minutes. My timer has gone off, so now I'm going to put my weighted jiggler, my weighted gauge on there, and I'm gonna wait for the pressure to start building up, and it will start doing a hula dance. And she's starting to hula. So I'm gonna set the timer now and adjust my temperature. 75 minutes, because I have pints. If I had quarts in there, it would be 90. The timer just went off. I am going to turn off the stove and just let it set, not touch anything until this drops down, and that goes back to 0. The lock has dropped, the pressure's returned to 0. I'm going to remove the weight, and there was no sound or anything, so that's good. And I'm gonna wait about 10 minutes before I loosen the lid. Because it's winter time, I don't want to rush it because there's a big change of temperature possibly between in there, obviously, in my house. Okay, I'm going to twist to the lid. Now I'm going to lift it and up and away. Because there is a lot of steam. And I'm just going to loosen it right now and let some of that steam out. Okay, I'm going to lift it. Here's all the jars. It smells really good. Sorry for the steam. They're not siphoning, which makes me happy. And I'm just gonna wait a few minutes, then I will remove them and put them on my canning quilt. You wanna put a towel or something underneath. You don't wanna set these hot jars straight onto the countertop. Here's the first jar. You wanna lift your jars straight up. If there's any water on top, it'll evaporate very quickly. So I'm excited to use these. I have avocado in the house and sour cream and even some tortilla chips. I think it will be a really nice bowl of soup. there we have 8 jars of black bean soup. I'm going to let these jars sit until tomorrow, and then I will wash them off, remove the rings, label them, and store them downstairs. Always take the rings off because you don't want to have a false seal. And these lids have been amazing, and thank you to 4 Jars for sponsoring this. Listen to that ping, love that. And thank you to Lisa at Sutton's Days for organizing Canuary. And I'll have the list of all the other channels down below. Don't miss a day and comment on all of them. See you next time at Pike Creek Farm.